It's the PokerNews Podcast.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, PokerNews Podcast, episode 902. It's an emergency podcast, Mike, because there was a huge story at the 2025 World Series of Poker at the Millionaire Maker. Everybody's talking about it. If you're watching this video, you know about it. An extra $1 million in play. Was there collusion? Was there chip dumping? Jesse Aganuma had won one of these gold passes, or whatever they're called. Whereas if he won one of these tournaments, he could get an extra $1 million. Right? And it was him, James Carroll, heads up. Looks suspicious. I don't know. What are you hearing? What did you see? What do you think?
I mean, so, look, ClubWPT Gold, whenever this came out, they knew exactly what they were doing. They knew that if the situation arises where someone wins $1 million, they get a crazy amount of publicity. Did they also plan that things like this could go on? I mean, I don't know how they couldn't have seen this happening, but I don't blame either one of them. Like, this is the most obvious thing ever where ClubWPT Gold is happy about giving the money out. Both players, there's no collusion. There's no, if they didn't affect other people at the final table, if it's just the two of them, there's no collusion. Collusion needs to be two or more people against others. It's the same thing as making a deal which every other place facilitates. The only bad stuff for anybody is WSOP getting bad publicity for, having the weird situation and maybe possibly taking away bracelets or considering doing some of the payouts. I think it's pretty clear cut. They should keep the money. And what they did was, while they did it too obviously, in my opinion, allegedly, whatever, they did it in a very obvious way and should have done it a little differently. I think if you were not to do what they did, you would be doing a disservice to yourself. If you were the manager of if I'm the manager of Jesse Ogden, if I'm the CEO of Jesse, or I'm the CEO of James Carroll, we're chopping this up, man. There's no way this is happening any other way. So I think this is par for the course. I think that everyone knew this was going to happen or had the possibility of happening.
Yeah, I mean, it was mentioned when Michael Lavin won his, because this is the second time somebody's won $1 million to this. It was asked of him, was there, consideration? And he kind of said, yeah, it crossed the mind. It didn't do anything, but of course you're going to think about it, right? And it's very polarizing because a lot of people are taking the stance that you're advocating. A lot of other people are saying, no, they violated the terms and conditions, which they did. There are no deals allowed at the WSOP. Whether or not they should be is a different question. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But by the law, it seems like they violated the terms and conditions. Agree with you, by definition, it doesn't classify as collusion because in the rules it states that it is two or more people colluding against a third party.
Yeah, so that's not collusion, right?
Correct. But it does say that there is other forms of collusion, and I think chip dumping is one of those.
But I think chip dumping is more like you and I are in a 100K tournament wherever there's 40 entrants. You got 3 horses at the table. We all chip dump you. You know what I mean? Or we chip dump in a way that makes it advantageous for ICM. The whole point of the chip dumping rule is to stop players from being cheated, not to stop things like this. I would assume, right?
Yeah. Well, let's assume allegedly that this happened, and one of the points that people are making, though, is we're focusing on the heads up. Do we know that this didn't happen earlier at the final table? That maybe there were some chip dumping scenarios that it could have potentially affected other people. Another point that people make is this does impact, the player of the year race. It can. It doesn't, because neither of these players are up there with that. But it potentially could, bracelet bets and things like that.
Do you think this is the first time something like this has happened? I think no chance.
No. So backroom deals happen at the World Series of Poker quite frequently. I mean, when I won mine, the guy said, "Hey, you want to talk?" And we did go out and talk. We ultimately didn't do anything.
Sure.
But it happens quite often. It just usually doesn't happen to this caliber in literally millions on the line on a live stream with hole cards exposed for everybody to see. And there is a risk with it because the WSOP doesn't facilitate chops or deals. There's been instances at the World Series of Poker, primarily in the daily deep stacks, where 5 people get down and say, "Hey, let's chop this up."
I've seen this. I've heard this.
Yeah. And, but because of the rules, somebody has to go sign for 5th place, 4th.
Yep.
And so the 5th place got their money, went over to the meeting spot. The 4th place finisher did the same. Well, guess what? When it got to the winner, he went and signed for his 50K and just took off.
Yeah, sure.
And there's nothing that can be done about that, right?
Exactly, yeah.
So even if there was a deal made between Jesse and Carroll, Well, I'm pretty sure they're friendly, right? They're in the poker community, Las Vegas poker community. It's like, you really have to trust somebody in that instance. And I do think these two, would have that sort of trust.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm pretty sure they're good friends. And yeah, I mean, yeah.
Like, we don't have to get Doug Polk did a good video breaking down a lot of the hands. There's some hands in the Poker News articles, and we actually have put every single hand. There's 59 hands of heads up play. We've put them all in the live update, so you can go back and see. But if you watch the broadcast, or at least the highlights of it,
it's the most obvious example of them trying to make Jesse win. There's no other explanation. Anything else is ridiculous. There's no argument against it, that, you know what I mean? I mean, you could make a little bit of plausible deniability, I guess, whatever. But I don't know. I think they absolutely have to be paid out. ClubWPT should pay them out, and nobody should look upon either of them negatively. And if you do, who cares? Because they got 2.2 million in the bag, shouty. But in all seriousness, like, come on. I don't see any way where, like if you're sitting at home saying you wouldn't do the same thing, I think, I don't know. It doesn't seem unethical to me. Like, nobody's getting hurt. No one gets hurt at all, except for WSOP loses 50 hands of heads up in a weird thing, and they get some negative publicity, yada yada. But whatever, all publicity is supposed to be good publicity, right? So like,
well, so the WSOP did put out a tweet this morning and said, last night we were made aware of a potential breach of the official WSOP tournament rules during heads up play in event number 53. An investigation is underway. At this time, first and second place have not been confirmed, and neither the prize money nor the bracelet have been officially awarded. So we're in a limbo period right now,
sure,
to see what the WSOP does. So real quick, from what I'm hearing, and Doug Polk released a video, and he represents ClubWPT Gold. Mm-hmm. He says that they're going to pay it out. And 100%. From everything I'm hearing behind the scenes, that is going to be what happens. It might happen today, it might happen tomorrow, but it's going to happen probably sooner than later. They get good marketing. They're going to strike when the iron is hot.
Yeah.
As for the WSOP, I think that it's a little more complicated, right? So as I tweeted out, you got to remember that WSOP and Caesars are no longer one and the same like they have been for the past 2 decades, because GG Poker, or the parent company of GG Poker, bought the WSOP brand and is licensing it back to Caesars. So we are here at a Caesars property, the Horseshoe. The WSOP and them are technically separate, but it is Caesars who owns the property, who has the gaming license, who has to deal with the gaming commission. And so when they have rules that they have submitted to the gaming commission, and there is a potential breach, as it said in their tweet, a potential breach, which is, in this case, I think chip dumping, maybe collusion they'll look into. I think they're just doing their due diligence. They're taking it very seriously. I think Caesars is forcing the hand, right? Caesars is the one like, hey, our gaming license is the one that is at stake here. We want to make sure that everything, checks out. Now, whether or not they actually find some fault and some punishment, or they actually just come through and award the money, remains to be seen. I think it will be the latter. I think they'll end up getting paid. And this will ultimately be a catalyst for, some big time changes when it comes to deal making at the WSOP.
I think the gaming commission being involved would be insane. Like, I think if the gaming commission wants to get involved over this, a thing that affects no one at all except for the WSOP's live stream result, like, if they want to but they won't get involved in the situation, the 50K PLO, where the guy clearly, allegedly, whatever, the guy 3-bets the Jack 8-7-4. For those that don't know, there was a hand where two guys, both, I believe they were Chinese, final table, 8 left, 9 left, 8 left in the PLO, 50K. Guy opens, doesn't show his cards to the reader. He opens minimum. The guy pots a hand in the big blind, Jack 8-7-4, which if you spent literally 10 minutes playing PLO, you would never do that in a million years. Yeah. Jack 8-7-4, one suit's horrible. He repots it, the guy folds. He has plenty of other examples at the final table where he folded really good hands. He was playing very tight, and for him to do this after a break when he was a short stack, this guy was a big stack, seems like the most clear example possible of something of
collusion.
Collusion. Yeah. I mean, it seems I can't. There's no way for me to say other than this guy's just a maniac. He just decided to click some buttons once in a while. Ha ha. It's like that to me. Why are we not investigating that? What are we doing? There's a bunch of rampant cheating online, WSOP.com. Why don't we, we're going to investigate that or no? Or we're not going to do that. But if something gets a bunch of publicity, we have to keep appearances and we have to invest. Like, I think it would be insane to do that. I think the poker community as a whole generally thinks that this is, that they should be paid their money. And I do too. I think anything else would be crazy.
I think it's a little messy in terms of the Club WPT Gold aspect of it, offering this $1 million.
Sure.
That does change it because this is not in conjunction with the WSOP.
Right.
Like, they are doing very much a guerrilla marketing campaign to capture share off the back of the WSOP. I mean, they rented out Old Red out in front of the Horseshoe here, which is not part of Caesars or the Horseshoe from my understanding.
Right.
So they wanted to be close to it, but just far enough so they can do whatever they want because they're not on site.
Right.
And that, having that aspect, the WSOP has to hate it, right? Number one, like it's...
Yeah, Club WPT Gold is literally Michael Jordan dunking on your face. WSOP is a tiny white guy going like this, you know what I mean? I want to say this too, the floors at WSOP have been great this year. They've been really excellent. Like, Ant Hawk, he's awesome. There was a situation where I was at the table there's dudes cheating at the table on WSOP.com. So I don't even know if I told you about this.
I don't know.
But I'm playing the PLO. It's a 1,500 PLO, 1K PLO, whatever it is. A Euro guy on my right is, he's nice dude. We're talking a bunch of hands. His buddy runs over to him. He's like, shows him his phone. I'm sitting right here. He goes, I potted it pre-flop. Do I just keep blasting or what? And he's like, yeah, no, check. And so and I'm like looking, I'm like, there's no fucking way this is going on right now next to me. I'm like looking at him and I'm trying to look at his phone. I can't see what app he's on, but I'm like, if he's on WSOP.com, shit's about to go down. And so he's got like the screen protector or whatever. And the turn comes, he's like, okay, so I checked the turn again. He's like, no, blast off, barrel. And so I'm like, okay, now he's telling him to do different things twice now. And so I lean over, I look at WSOP.com. So I'm like, okay, and then he's like, all right, River, what? And I'm like, I just go, are you guys fucking serious? I call the floor over. The floors handled it. Andy Tillman, it's Andy Tillman, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He came over, he talked to them. They went and talked to Ant. I went and had a discussion with them. The one guy ran out of the poker room who was doing it. And, from what I don't know. It seems to me like, something was done about it. So.
Well, that's good.
Very happy about that. Yeah. Because stuff like that's crazy, but yeah.
I think in this instance, a lot of people are probably wondering what is next. It does seem like the vast majority of people think that even if they did wrong, that they should still get paid. Some possible scenarios is, like, I guess it's within the realm of possibility for the WSOP to, DQ both players and redistribute the prize money. I don't think they would award a bracelet in that instance if they were to. They could honor, and this was something that Todd Wittelis suggested, honor the payouts, but just don't award a bracelet.
I think that's actually kind of reasonable, honestly.
Yeah, I could see that because, a champion wasn't determined through play, really. If they determined that it was.
They should not be DQ'd in any fashion at all. I think that would be ridiculous.
I think the WSOP, they're going to do their investigation in conjunction with Caesars. They're going to look at every hand. They're going to look at every action. They're going to examine this popular theory that's out there that it was the betting amounts, whether it was an odd number or an even number, that was kind of like the signal, right? So if you look at all these hands, Carroll would bet. Whenever he would bet an odd number,
that seems to be
that's when
correct,
Jesse Aganuma would, raise it and take it out. And if you look at the hands, it does seem that that's a pretty credible
It seems
theory.
very likely that that's what happened. Because we discussed this. I was at Old Red after Michael Lavin won, and I was there talking with Club WPT Gold people, and I was like, yeah, shit. Like, if I get their heads up, we're going to do a little odd even system. You know what I mean? That's what I would do, 100%. And I don't think it's wrong. I don't think it's even remotely unethical. I think in a situation where nobody else is being affected, it'd be crazy not to. Obviously, I've said that 47 times now, but. Yeah. What I would do is what they should have done is 2 rails, 2 people texting each other. You guys go in between hands, and then you switch. You just switch the even odd every 20 hands. Now I'm advocating what am I doing?
I don't necessarily agree totally. Like, look, I think they should get paid. I probably would do the same thing in that situation. So I'm not trying to be, virtue signal here, but I do believe that, when it comes to the ethical standpoint of it, like, they know, there's terms and conditions. They know this. They know that it's breaking those. So when you're knowingly breaking it, there is something.
Though.
I don't disagree. Like I said, I would have done it too. But I mean, there are people out there who take issue with that.
Who's affected negatively? Is I guess would be my question, right?
I mean, I think, as I've said on social media. Before I get there, well, WSOP obviously is negatively impacted here.
Just from bad publicity, you're saying?
Well, bad publicity, and their whole brand is built upon the bracelet, right? The allure of chasing the bracelet, winning a bracelet. The recreational player can win the bracelet. So you have to protect that at all costs. Okay. Like, that's the best marketing scheme that's ever been in the history of poker.
Yeah.
Because it's a bracelet in the grand scheme, right? But everybody wants to win a bracelet.
Of course.
So when you see something on a grand stage like that, that really, it is a slap in the face to a bracelet, right? It's not the pure competition of two people battling it out heads up to see who's going to win. It was the bracelet. We don't really care. It's an afterthought. I'm just going to give it to you because we want money, money, money. Again, probably do it in that same spot. I'd take $500,000 for a bracelet any day over a bracelet. But from the WSOP standpoint, they can't have that shit happen.
No, of course not. So what does WSOP do to stop that in the future is the question.
Well, so we'll talk deal making here in a sec. I do want to say this, like when I said about an investigation, one thing they're going to see is, like, if they go back and look at the timeline here. So when they made it to heads up play, there was a very long break. I was there. I was in the room.
Yeah.
And production was all like, all right, this is going on a little long. I don't know exactly how long. I would guesstimate 15, 20 minutes.
Okay.
That the final two players were, off-site. Well, they were in the hallway, and I know from somebody I know very well who, saw them discussing, talking very quietly. And, when they got closer, they kind of hushed up. So, like, there were discussions being had. There was a long break. All this, I'm sure, is on the camera. Whether or not they could actually hear what they were saying, probably not.
Yeah.
But like, it's the circumstances, the circumstantial evidence isn't going to look good combined with the hands of it, right? So to me, it's just going to become a matter of how serious are they taking this? Do they want to punish it? And will they make an example of it? And I think, like you said, we all agree, you and I agree, the vast majority of the poker community agrees, like, there shouldn't be, right? Because of the circumstances. But I get where the WSOP is coming from, where Caesars is going to be coming from. And it's going to be a mess for a little while. Now,
maybe, I'm just spitballing here, but maybe if WSP came out and said, we're going to pay him, we're going to give him the bracelet, or not give him the bracelet, either one. I think you might have to just give him the bracelet regardless, but maybe not. It is kind of weird. They say that, but then they say in the future, if any of these things happen again, we're 100% DQing the players, and I think that might be okay, but there's no precedent for this beforehand. So, like, in my mind, they didn't do anything wrong. Like, I don't know if that's like a crazy thing. I don't think it's crazy to say. I don't think they did anything wrong. I mean, it's their money. And I know for a fact there's been other situations where people have just gone, two people have 80 plus big blinds, just go all in firsthand. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, well, what are we doing here? The bracelet means nothing there too, right? Like, they did a deal. They don't give a shit. I mean, that's happened before, right?
Yeah, there's been bracelets that have been bought before. I think there was an example from 1997. It was famous in the 1972 WSOP main event final table when there was, a dozen players, but it came down to Doyle Brunson, Amarillo Slim, and Puggy Pearson. And, like, Doyle was like, I don't want to win because, like, he was a married man from Texas. He didn't want people to know he was a gambler. He detailed all this in his biography. So there was a backroom deal with Benny Binion there, and basically they allowed Doyle to exit in third place because he was having, stomach problems And so, like, this stuff has happened, but the game is very much different in the last 50 years.
Sure, of course.
And the WSOP now is more run like, to me, it's almost akin to, like, the NFL. The NFL is super protective of the brand, right? If a player does something that's against the code of conduct, they get fined heavily because the NFL knows they're such a moneymaker. They don't want, no pun intended, they don't want that to be jeopardized. So they are very, very strict on things. And I think the WSOP wants that legitimacy. They want to protect their golden goose. And so they do need to take things like this serious. Now, whether or not they do something about it, I don't know. And remember, this is coming off the heels of last year's main event, Laptop Gate. Like, that's two pretty big black eyes on literally the main stage. It's
Yeah. I mean, the
Yeah, they got to figure something out.
laptop gate's on them, though. That's on WSOP for not. I mean, that's such an obvious thing. Hey, why don't we start dealing cards like this, man?
Well, yeah, you say, yeah, you as well.
Who gives a shit about any of this stuff? Like, it's actually crazy to me. Like the poker community doesn't understand how serious of a problem the card pitching is. Like, it's crazy. There's people that sit down like this. You ever seen anybody sitting down like this with their hoodie like this? Guarantee you can see a card.
It's funny you say that, because when I've only played a couple tournaments this summer, but I was in, I think, the one seat, and then I remembered what you had said about it. So I actually was kind of watching, and I'm like, oh yeah, I can see what Mike means now.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And certain people have much better abilities than others. You can train yourself to do it. There's people that play blackjack. There's people that play other table games, and they go for weak dealers where they can, and if it was in a table game, none of this shit would be happening. The casino would be like, whoa, that dealer's got to go. They're costing us money. But because it's the players, nothing happens. This should have happened many years ago, but it's gotta come like this. People are for sure cheating that way, and it's affecting all of us, and no one seems to care. And I guarantee there are people who are crushing, who are just being able to see cards all the time. They don't say anything about it. I mean, it's a massive, massive advantage. Like,
I think, like, I was talking to some colleagues. So you asked, like, what can be done to prevent this sort of thing in the future, right? One thing that I think the WSOP should seriously look into is, instead of relying on the dealers and the floor people and even the media and the players to police everything, like, maybe hire a couple people whose sole job is to focus on game security, where they literally wander the field, identifying, dealers who might be dealing like that, identifying, like, okay, you can't have these laptops on the rail or these players on their phones or whatever, like, and trying to nip it in the bud. The other aspect of it is, do you think this will ultimately lead to the WSOP finally changing their stance on deals and helping facilitate deals in events?
I don't think so personally, because they want the bracelet to have prestige, and it lacks prestige. And also they're so entrenched with, like, this 25K fantasy now and player of the year. There's just so many different things that they'd have to change that I don't think they want to do that. And I don't think they want to, like, well, I don't know. I say that, but they definitely seem like they do want to water down bracelets. You know what I mean? Like, I was going to say, with you, oh, you got that in a deal, though you didn't even really win, but it's like, yeah, but I mean, you put 41 people in PA. I think
I've seen a stat. I wish I had it. Robert Jen, WSOP historian, who's been my guest recently. I think it's something along the lines of all the WSOP bracelets awarded in the last 55 years or whatever it's been, half of them have come in the last 10 years.
Oh, I would have thought it was more than that.
Something like that. Yeah.
I would have thought it was more
like when you talk about watering down the bracelet, I do think that deal making should be allowed. I think it was Nipun Java who tweeted, he said, please do not punish the players because it's the easiest thing to do for better optics. Instead, facilitate better playing environment for players. Focus on streamlining deal making. Players are playing for huge amounts of money. Have clear-cut rules and regulations for all situations that don't force conflicts of interests for players. So here's my thing.
Yeah.
There are examples of tours out there. EPT is one that comes immediately to mind, who not only help facilitate deals, they actually make it part of their product, like their broadcast. They show it. They're like, cool, this is all out in the open if we're going to do it. And I believe they have certain procedures in place, as do other tours. And I don't know them exactly, so I'm just going to reference to when I worked for the MSPT, because we had this exact situation of deals weren't allowed on the MSPT for many years, because part of the product was a live stream final table.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
That the venues were playing for. So the last thing we wanted to have happen is you get to the final table and they say, all right, we're chopping 10 weight.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you don't.
Get nothing.
You get nothing. And then the venues are all upset. So, but we realized the game changed. The fields were growing. The money got more serious. So we did end up allowing deals, but with certain caveats. One of them being is, I think at one time was like, look, if you're heads up and you want to chop right now, do ICM, whatever it might be, you can do that, but whoever is the chip leader is the champion. There's no saying you're the short stack, you get to be champion,
okay, yeah,
right?
Yeah, sure.
And at the time we had a magazine, so they got on the cover of the magazine. Another popular one is you guys can chop, you can work a deal, but you have to leave X amount of the prize pool to play for.
Yeah.
So like the WSOP could do these sort of things to maintain that prestige.
But none of that
the
stops
bracelet.
this exact thing from happening, though.
Yeah,
none of that stops someone from being like, what if I go on the rail and I just come here, I'll give you all $1 million just to let my boy win. You know what I mean? What stops that? Is that like,
Yeah, I mean that's it.
I don't think there is a way to stop any of that.
It's a hard
stuff like
thing
that's
to
just
sleep.
kind of
It's like somebody also said, like, instead of the chip dumping, alleged chip dumping, what if James Carroll just got up and left the horseshoe?
Oh, I saw that too. Yeah. What's
just
gonna
get
happen?
blinded out.
No, that's actually that would have been better.
I don't know where they'll go with this in terms of the deal making, or they could go the exact opposite. They could double down on being strict and banning players if they suspect anything.
If they ban Jesse Yaganuma from the WSOP, the ripple effect by all the pros boycotting WSOP would be so swift and terrible and negative in social media. That would be a vast error. Like Jesse's like very much well liked in the poker community, especially the Vegas pros. Like you would lose instantly 40 people and then more who would tag on, you know what I mean? Like
little known fact, I first played the main event in 2013, and on day 2 Jesse Yaganuma busted me, so I've always hated him.
My apologies.
I'm just joking.
Get him out of here.
That's a true story, but I do know he actually is a really nice guy. I like James Carroll as well, and like you said, like, I'd do it, you'd do it. If it was down to us, we would have done it.
100%.
A little smarter. And a lot of people, like a lot of the biggest names in poker, have shown their support on social media. I think, look, and I get the other side of it, and that's also being shown on social media of a lot of the recreational players take issue with it. And
I could see why they would. It's a bad look for recreational players.
Yeah. And so I think that's the dichotomy here, is like the pros are all about the EV, that extra money. Like, it makes sense. You guys are in the community all the time, whereas a lot of recreational players are on the outside looking in, who, this isn't their world. They just come to the World Series once or twice, hopefully to win a bracelet and win the big money. And then they get a glimpse into the way that the poker world sometimes does operate. And, in this particular case, it was on the stage for all to see. You had other people really chiming in, Barstool Nate, Robert Kuhn. These guys kind of were the ones who were fueling it at the start on social media, and then it just
did Barstool Nate? Which side was he on?
He at first he was very upset in terms of like, what the fuck are they doing? Heads up, like this is terrible. But he also agrees like they should still get paid.
Okay,
right?
yeah. Rob Kuhn's takes were horrendous, considering he works for ACR. That shit's crazy. He should not talk about that at all. That's wild to me. Like, just beyond wild. Like, come on, man, read the room. That's crazy.
I don't know where this goes from here. Like I said, as we're recording this, I have been told that the Club WPT Gold is going to award the $1 million. If they do, I assume there's going to be like a little celebration, or they'll make a spectacle of it at Old Red, which is, hundreds of feet in front of us right now.
Yeah.
I'll try to attend, get filming for the next episode of the podcast, which will come out on Sunday. Hopefully we'll have an update for you by then. I asked a couple sources, like, do you think this is going to be resolved sooner or later? They seem to indicate this is going to stretch on for a little bit. That,
crazy.
That Caesars or gaming or whoever is involved, that could very well prove inaccurate. Pay attention. Poker News will have an article up, social media, whatever, as soon as it breaks. Like, this is, for better or worse, going to be the story of the summer.
My prediction is if WSOP bans them or does anything about not paying them, Club WPT Gold's going to swoop in and pay them, and WSOP is going to look so stupid. It would be such a vast error to not pay them. Like, let's see what happens.
Yeah, I would be shocked if they didn't. I'll say that much. Like, I would be very shocked if they didn't. So.
And Jesse, like, I don't know too much about James, but Jesse is such a nice, like, he's got integrity. He's a good guy. I played a ton of online poker with him. Never once have I ever considered him to be anyone who would cheat or do anything. He's just pure. I've never seen him be mean to anyone at the table. Like, this is a guy who let's pay that man his money. You know what I mean?
I agree. I've always found Jesse very pleasant. Same with James Carroll. Just a strange situation and a very pivotal point of the World Series of Poker, right? With the new regime that's happened, with the new changes that have already come, WSOP Plus app and such. Like, that's a positive change that's happened this summer.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then you kind of get this, that, like I said, this is barring something else crazy happening in the next 3 weeks. Like, this is going to be
for sure, without a shadow of a doubt, yeah.
And it will likely have ripple effects. Like, the topic of deal making is now open, and the topic of what to do in the future if something like this happens. And then also, I would imagine the WSOP is behind the scenes saying, like, how the fuck do we stop Club WPT Gold or someone else from doing this sort of outside promotion that can greatly impact the action at the
I don't think
Series.
they can. I don't think they can stop them.
I don't know. I'm sure that maybe there's a precedent out there in some other industry, some other casino, gaming, maybe dive into the law books. I don't know, but I would have to assume that they're not going to take it long down.
WSOP sued Club WPT over the promotion. Also, not going to be great for them publicly.
Yeah, I mean, but they also got to do what they got to do to protect their brand. In this case,
I would say this:
their investment from GG, and like GG online product is a direct competitor of Club WPT Global, right? Or Club WPT Gold and WPT Global.
Because you, as an American, you can easily VPN there. So yeah, they're in the same market. Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. I think fingers crossed they get paid. Both from WPT, their $1 million bonus. Well, Jesse gets paid as and he probably is like, here's your $500K.
Yeah, allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. And they get the bracelets awarded or not. I can see a case for either of those as well. But that this is a catalyst for some sort of change, right? And not only a change like lip service, like no more no more headphones at the final 3 tables, no more phones on the rail. That shit's still happening.
Oh yeah, there should be no phones on the rail ever. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's insane. We know that people cheat with hole card cameras, with pinhole cameras. We know that. The WSOP knows that. Everyone knows it. Why are they with 3 tables left when things start to get serious? That guy's got 16 million chips now. So like, what are we doing here? Yeah. I don't get it. It just, to me, these are very easy. Everyone should be on board with that. We pitch low. No phones on the rail. No electronics. You can't RTA while you play. You can't ask anybody what to do in a hand. You can't reveal the contents of your hand while you're playing. People still do that all the time. It's the craziest shit ever. Good professional poker players I know. So I saw someone raise, I don't want to blow up their spot. Someone 3-bet, and then a guy look over and goes, "You got 9s again?" It's like, whoa, brother, you can't say that to him. There's other people behind. It's the craziest shit I've ever heard. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's other things that we should be worrying about than these two. Collecting the money that they were going to get regardless. So I don't know,
I'll leave it by saying this. Do have a little patience with the WSOP because it's my understanding right now, like this is out of their hands in terms of Caesars, and they are separate at this point in time, right? So the WSOP does have to wait. So like if you're out there like, WSOP, pay them their money, do it now, we need a response, like understand that they are now subject to the Caesars aspect, who are going to take their time, who are going to investigate whether or not that's with Nevada Gaming or not independently. I have no idea, but I just know that they are going to have to be patient. Sure. And so are we. So give them a little bit of grace in that aspect, not to sound like a WSOP opponent.
No, I mean, that's fair. I mean, I get it. Yeah.
We'll have updates for you. Next episode is going to be on Sunday. There are going to be some updates. Jen Shahad is actually going to be my guest there, and she tweeted about this.
Cool.
Interested. She's saying, like, Jesse, James Carroll, anybody involved shouldn't be speaking publicly or anything without a lawyer or something, 100%. Right? Yeah, because it's reached that level. So very curious to get her thoughts on it.
Episode. They should. Their name's Bennett, and they ain't it. I'm not saying nothing.
There you go. Well, Mike, I know you're going to play. We wanted to get this out there as it is breaking news. Remember, 2 episodes of the PokerNews Podcast during the 2025 World Series of Poker. Next one at Sunday, 8 a.m. Pacific time, and then on Thursdays as well. Mike Holtz, Chad Holloway. Until then, we'll keep a seat open for you.